We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
Anybody who has experienced what I'm about to tell you will probably relate to what I'm going to say about two specific companies that I've had nothing but problems from. The first is TiresPlus. Now this company is owned by Bridgestone Tire Company. And I'm not concerned at all of mentioning their name because for 3 consecutive months I have tried without success to get help from their corporate offices. I've called them, I've emailed them, I've also communicated directly through Facebook, and what they keep giving me is the same runaround. Oh, we're going to do something, don't worry, we're going to get this resolved. Every time you talk to them, they're going to refer it to the area manager. His name is Andy. And now 3 months later, I have not heard anything, even though I had contacted them every week for the past 2 months. I got sick of it. Then I figured, well, maybe at least I could try to tell other people in the community of what they're doing by reporting it to the Better Business Bureau. The Better Business Bureau is a total joke because the Better Business Bureau doesn't do anything. If you file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, they will give you the same runaround that TiresPlus did. If you can't give us copies of your receipts and other pertinent information, we can't help you. Well, guess what? I did. I faxed and I emailed copies of the receipts from TiresPlus. Also, I ended up paying $150 to another mechanic to do the work because TiresPlus refused to do the work. Now, this is what the scenario is. I went in for an oil change back in June, early July. After they did the work, I came back in the same day, picked up the car. Number one, it had an obvious oil leak because they didn't tell me when I left. I was driving the car home and it started boiling out smoke out of the back of my car. When I saw that, I thought at first that the car was on fire, or maybe it was they had burned out the engine. I turned around that same instant and went right back up to TiresPlus. They acted stupid, like, oh, well, we thought we had told you there was an oil leak. Not only did they not tell me, they refused to do any work on the truck. They said, oh, well, we can't figure out where the oil's coming from, where the leak is coming from. I reported it to every person I could think of within the company of TiresPlus, the management, corporate management. I got to run around every time, and I felt like I'm going to tell people on YouTube about what I experienced. This particular store or office or their shop is located in Peachtree City. Now this is in Fayette County in Georgia. They only have one TiresPlus there. I had similar experiences with another TiresPlus roughly 10-15 years ago at the one that's in Newnan, Georgia, which is closer to where I live. I took the truck up there because it was putting out white smoke out the tailpipe and it was just chug-a-lugging and all the rest of it, and I found out this is a sign, an indication that the head gasket had cracked. And TiresPlus, at the time I took it to Newnan, said, well, we can do the work, but it's going to cost you $2,000. And you talk about rip-off cons. I walked back out because I was still trying to decide if I was going to get the truck fixed, and you had 8 mechanics just standing around around my truck waiting for me to decide if I was going to do the work, because they wanted that $2,000. And I eventually told them, forget it. I'll find some mechanic who can either put me a used engine in this truck and get it fixed, which is what I did. But TiresPlus is only after that all big time money. Customer service at TiresPlus is zero. So I'm telling all of you, if you haven't been to TiresPlus yet, if you don't have one in your area, don't go to them, because all they care about is money. They don't care about your safety. And I'm proof positive, because I went up there, I thought they were going to do what's right for my truck, and all they did was just what I had asked them to do, which was, my oil pressure is showing low, tell me what's wrong with it. They didn't tell me what was wrong with it. They just did the oil change, because I said, well, maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe the oil filter is clogged up and something needed to be done to it. So I took it in there thinking they're going to fix it. It was not like this when they had another guy that was manager. His name was Benjamin. That's what his name was, Benjamin. This guy was number one. He was a good manager of that store, and he made every mechanic responsible for their conduct and what they did. When I came back with the truck, because of the oil coming out the back and smoke and everything, you wouldn't believe it. I walked in and there was one mechanic sitting on his asp right there at the cash register. And when I started explaining what was happening and all the rest, and then they give you the song and dance routine about, well, I'm sorry, it looks like the girl that was here didn't tell you there was an oil leak. And then when I asked, well, why didn't you fix it? And they was like, well, it could have been hundreds of other places on the truck we could have tried to look, but we didn't want to. Although he didn't say that, he was like, we don't know where oil check or oil leak is coming from. So I had to take it to another reputable mechanic, charged me $150, and he said, what you got was, you have your main oil line has a seal that goes into the firewall of your engine block. He said that had somehow over time pulled out enough that it was just squirting oil all over the place. He had to degrease the entire undercarriage of the car, and yet people who are supposed to be certified mechanics at TiresPlus would not do anything. They are not certified, because if they were, they would have known what that oil leak was coming from and why it was doing what it was doing. Not only did they not take responsibility, they refused to do any work on my truck. They would not take it back. They would not fix it. These are the things I was going to tell the area manager for Peachtree City, Andy. So if TiresPlus sees this video, you guys are idiots. If not, you're full of it, because you care about the money, but you don't care about your customers' safety. You don't care about customer service, because if you did, you would have called me back the first week after I reported this. I told corporate office at least 8 times in the last 3 months about what had happened at that office. And they kept saying the same thing. It was like a broken record. Oh, Mr. Carter, don't worry, we're going to escalate this to our area manager. He'll get in contact with you. We'll get this resolved. He didn't do anything. Now, some of y'all are probably already going to say, why didn't you go to the local media and tell them? By all indications, folks, TiresPlus pays off the Better Business Bureau. They pay off the media to look the other way when people make complaints about them. Because I contacted every network station in Atlanta to ask them to look into this. Nobody did anything. Nobody responded. Nobody even wanted to look into it. All I have a choice of, from what I have determined, is to sue them. And I told TiresPlus that when I last called them. I said, I'm going to seek legal advice about pursuing legal action of suing you for the potential threat of me being killed from that car having caught fire before I got back to my house. The fact that your people did not take the initiative to try to find out what the problem was, instead of brushing me off and saying, you owe this much for the oil change, that's all we're going to do, get out of here. And that's essentially what they did. And the Better Business Bureau, like I say, is a total, absolute shenanigans. I contacted them, I sent emails, I sent pictures, fax messages with copies of my receipts to show how much TirePlus did, which was nothing, how much the other mechanic charged me to do the same work. It would have been nice to have had TiresPlus to know what they're doing, because they claim on their signs, we have certified mechanics who do this work. And that means they're supposed to know what they're doing. That is an absolute fraud, because all they do are the simplest types of mechanical repairs on your car. Anything more than that, like doing plugs, doing shocks, doing anything else, they don't take the responsibility of fixing it. This is another thing that I'm going to bring out. My truck is 23 years old, so there's no reason for these mechanics to claim the car was too new, that they couldn't fix it, or that somehow or another they didn't know how to work on it. It's an American vehicle, it's a GMC, a domestic car, it's not a foreign make, so there's no excuse for them why they did not want to do the work, other than they just didn't want to. They brushed me off. The mechanics are sitting on their behinds doing nothing in the shop, and when you walked out of there, you felt like, well, they surely don't care about my business, and I'm not going to go back to TiresPlus again because of this. I've had a customer relationship with that office in Peachtree City for probably at least 12, 13 years. I've had a TiresPlus credit card. Now it's just going to gather dust, because I'm not going to go back to them again with them brushing off customers who have legitimate mechanical problems, and they give you the song and dance to get rid of you. That's what Chris, and I'm going to say his name on this video. His name is Chris. He was the manager of the store. I think he still is, because it's listed on all their paperwork. He took Ben's place as far as management at that store. And I'm telling you, when that happened, customer service went to zero, because now they don't care about their customers and they don't care about your safety. So TiresPlus, if you're watching this, it's your own fault. I've waited 3 months. I tried to get help. All you kept giving me was the same song and dance routine. You did nothing to try to resolve this situation. And I say, whatever happens hereafter, either through legal action or otherwise, it's your own fault. And that's all I'm going to say. If TiresPlus, which is owned by Bridgestone, is not a reputable company, and they've got all these different shops all over at least Georgia, then it should be a wake-up call to everybody who goes there that eventually you're going to be shunned off and you're going to be treated like crap, and all they're going to care about is your transaction, the money that you're going to pay them to do whatever easily fixable problem you have on your car. But if it's anything else more substantially more difficult for them to fix, they're not going to do it, because I've already gone through it. And I just feel like I'm at my wit's end. I can't keep going back to TiresPlus and asking for help if they're just going to give me this same brush off and then do nothing. And that's exactly how it's been now since really June 20th. It's now almost September. And in that time frame of, what, 3 months, 4 months, TiresPlus has done nothing. And as far as I can see, they're not going to do anything. But I would say, do not go to the Better Business Bureau to report problems, because the Better Business Bureau did nothing more than what TiresPlus did, which was nothing. Meaning that TiresPlus probably pays the Chamber of Commerce for Peachtree City, they pay off the Better Business Bureaus, so that if people file complaints against their particular shops, they do nothing. They stand off. They say, no, we're not going to do anything more, because for us it's too difficult for us to figure out what's wrong with your car. And that's the answer they gave me. I ended up leaving. The car was still leaking, and I took it right up to another guy that I knew who did pay me, or he charged me more money to do the work, but at least he did it. And now at least the car is safe to drive again, instead of it being potentially a fire hazard. And I blame that on TiresPlus, because their people did not know what to do, where to look on my truck to find where that problem was coming from. So anybody watching this video, don't go to the TiresPlus anywhere. They don't care. They don't want to care. And they don't have any intention to protect your safety when you go to their stores, because they don't care. They're not going to care. And to the Better Business Bureau, all that is just them taking complaints with the stipulation that if you're filing it against a certain company, that TiresPlus or some other company pays the Better Business Bureau to look the other way, they'll do it. An example, anybody's ever heard of Ag Pro? What this is, it's a lawnmower company that sells equipment for like lawns, power equipment for like really, I guess, even marine machinery and so forth, but it's mostly a John Deere dealership. They took roughly probably 4 months to fix our lawnmower. When we went up there the first time, they said there was crud all in the tank, and I was like, there's no way there could be crud in the tank. We bought the lawnmower brand new. And I never buy gas anywhere except for reputable gas stations like Chevron. I never go to these watered down gas stations. AgPro totally just cared nothing. I think they put the garbage in the tank because when I came in, they took the tank, flipped it over, all the gas came out into a bottle, and he says, look at this filth in the gas can or tank. I said, you probably put it there, because I said that's not from any tank that I get gasoline from. I never put stuff like that in this. That lawnmower cost us almost $100. It was a Honda. So I ended up, we had to go somewhere, we went somewhere else. They fixed it. And then they said, well, it looks like somebody put trash in your carburetor. The carburetor went out. And we had paid AgPro, I don't know, at least more than $100 to fix it, maybe $200. Then we ended up having to pay another $200 because this other guy was reputable and he was able to fix it. TiresPlus, AgPro, these companies pay off the Better Business Bureau so they don't have to be accountable for whatever it is they do to your car or to your lawnmower or to any other machine you bring in. And I say this is proof positive that these organizations that supposedly are there for the consumer's protection, the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, all these other companies, they don't do anything. So don't even try going to them, because in this community around here in central Georgia, they care nothing about you or your money other than making sure the company's reputation is kept in check, and thereafter they totally ignore you and never mention anything about this. And for the media, we know they're fake already because of how many lies they've said about President Trump. So I would say the media isn't somebody you should go with either, especially 11 Alive, Channel 11 in Atlanta. They don't care anything about anything. They're going to keep the socialists and the communists in power by lying about everything President Trump does. And that's why I say the media are false, fake, fraudulent. Don't go to them. Don't go to the Better Business Bureau. Don't go to any other company who they say is supposed to be for your benefit. It's supposed to be there to help you, because they don't. So thank you for letting me share this about TiresPlus. Don't go to them. Don't go to the Better Business Bureau if you've got problems, because they're not going to do anything.
Six quavers and Paul. She sent us four quavers.